Dear students, Prokhar, Tanvi, Suhani, Mona, and Kalyani, like CBSE sample paper, we discussed the writing skill pattern, right? The writing skill MCQ is already over. You have seen that it is something different, and we have practiced it, and we shall practice couple of more sets from writing skill as well, as a preparation for the term one, because term one is also a part of the board examination, right? So therefore, dear students, with term one being less than 2 months to go, we need to practice vigorously now the sample paper questions, right? The multiple choice questions. So the writing skill MCQ is something new for us, so we shall keep practicing it on a regular basis. But today, let us practice from the CBSE sample paper, okay, the literature portion, right? So let's begin. Here you can see. He said, I have nothing else to do. He mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. So, this is from, of course, Lost Spring. If you cannot identify from where it is taken initially, then you can go to refer to the question. Then you get the name of the character and all that, with the help of which you can easily identify that it is from Lost Spring or from whatever chapter, right? So first question is here, you can see Sahib's muttering and looking away suggests ease. So what do you think should be the answer? Is it anger, shyness, embarrassment, anxiety? He said, I have nothing else to do. Looking away, looking away. Go to school, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. So Sahib said, I have nothing else to do, and then he looks away, means he turns his attention away from the narrator or the author. So what does it suggest? If someone tells you something and then turns his attention away from you, what does it suggest? He can be angry, he can be embarrassed, he might have anxiety, but in the context of the lesson and the discussion between the narrator and the character, Sahib, what do you suggest? What do you guess here? C. Yes. It is embarrassment. Very good. That's a nice answer. So he appears to be embarrassed actually. Why? Because he is not having this privilege, so he has become embarrassed. Very good. Next, of the four meanings of glibly, select the option that matches the meaning with its usage in the extract. Glibly. So I can also help you here, like for example, if you type here the meaning of glibly, let us see what comes out. See, as you can see right onto your screen, meaning glibly. Glibly means in a way that is confident, but is too simple and lacks careful thought. He spoke glibly about an economic recovery just around the corner, right? So speaking something in a confident manner, okay, but it lacks analysis or careful thought. So from the primary meaning that is given of the particular word glibly, and together with the context in the story, what do you suggest here? Showing degree of informality, lacking depth and substance, being insincere and deceitful, speaking with fluency. What do you suggest, dear students? See, we have to consider the meaning of the word as well as the context in which this word has been spoken in the story. These two we have to take into consideration. We should not select a choice which has no relevance with the meaning of the word, right? We should not select such an option. So showing a degree of informality is such an option which does not show any relevance to the meaning of the word glibly, so we should straight away rule it out, right? When it comes to speaking with fluency, that also we can rule out. Why? Because it is nothing, the meaning of glibly has nothing to do with simply speaking with fluency. Now we are left with just two options, lacking depth and substance, being insincere and deceitful. Deceitful is the word which shows that Sahib is, uh, cheating. Deceitful means what? Cheating, dishonest. So here the word glibly does not in any way show that it is deceitful, right? So we should also rule out the option C here. This is how, dear students, we have to filter out the options. We have to rule out the irrelevant options and go for the relevant choice. So in this case, our choice is number B. So those of you who have answered in favor of B, like Tanvi, Satvika, Prakhar, Mayur, they are correct, right? So this is how, dear students, you have to apply little bit of common sense here, right? And one more thing we have learned from this particular type of question, that we need to understand. We have to understand each and every meaning of the word. So whatever difficult words you think you are unfamiliar with, please take a note of these words in your English notebook. Write them down, because unless and until you are familiar with the exact meaning of the word, in that case it will be difficult for you to go for the right choice of the option. Understood? So difficult word meaning you please write down on your English notebook, so that whenever such type of question is asked in the MCQ pattern, you are able to answer it, right? Because here if you guess it, your guesswork will not work. In some of the MCQ you need to guess. In some of the MCQ type of questions you need to have the proper knowledge, otherwise you cannot answer. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 33. Who do you think Sahib is referring to as they in the given sentence? When they build one, I will go. The officials, the inhabitants, the teachers, the journalists. Who are the authorities who are supposed to, or who are likely to make a school? One means your school actually, okay? So it's very simple, it's not that difficult. You can easily guess, you don't have to know necessarily the meaning. It's very simple one, okay? So the officials, you are saying, very good. I agree with your option. Okay. Now let's move on to, because teachers are not supposed to go for the infrastructure, journalists are not meant for this, inhabitants may sometimes go, of course, but who will take the initiative? And of course, it is a very small place, or you can say it's a village where most of the population is poor enough, so they cannot raise the charity fund and then go for the school. So this is also highly unlikely. Therefore, we should go for the first option, that is the officials. Very good. Thank you. Now, question number 34 is, select the option that lists the feelings and attitudes corresponding to the following. I ask half joking, he says smiling broadly, right? So where is these two dialogues coming? Let us see first here in the extract. That is important. Yes, the students will say, if I start a school, will you come? I ask half joking. Half joking means he is not so sincere in his statement, right? He said, yes, he says, smiling broadly. Okay, so Sahib is ready to join a school in case a school comes up in his village, right? So from Sahib's point of view, it is a sincere statement, whereas from the narrator or the writer's point of view, it is a casual statement, because he said it's half joke. Half joking means he is not very much sincere in his speech. He has just made a casual speech here, half joking, right? So on the one hand, narrator is casual. On the other hand, Sahib is sincere. So let's see what's the question now. Part number one is part arrogance, part seriousness. No, it's not arrogant. It's not arrogant, right? So let's rule out this one. Let me see what you first come up with, and then I will give my point of view. Second one is part amusement, part irritation, and submissiveness is something what Sahib's statement reflects, submissiveness. Yeah, hesitation. Part 3 is part concern, part heart. Side from side's point of view is pride. Part humor, part earnestness, self-belief. Sahib. So you have gone for, most of you have gone for 34D. Okay, most of you have gone for 34D. That is part humor, part earnestness. Okay, so why have you gone for number D option? Why not number C? Because number C is also equally relevant. What made you choose D over C? Can you please text me the reason as to why you have gone for D over the option C? Okay, option A and B, let us rule out. Let us rule out option A, option B. So, do you have any answer for this question, dear students? Because this is something very interesting. Something interesting. This is very, very interesting. Right? So, part humor, part earnestness, self-belief. So here, see, why I think the reason as to why you have gone for number D is the writer was in a very humorous mood, so part humor, right? Earnestness because he wanted, he wished he could, but of course, this is not, his intention is good. That is why he has asked the question, right? And from Saif's point of view, of course, he believes that if there is such organization, then it will, of course, work, right? So, let us go with the option D. Now, question number 35. Select the option that lists reasons why Sahib's world has been called bleak. Bleak means what? Do you know the meaning of bleak? Quickly, can you answer me the meaning of bleak? What is the meaning of bleak? Tanvi says, since it is mentioned half jokingly, there was humor part in writer saying. Very good, very good. Yes, yes, yes. That's the reason, of course. Of course. Okay, now my question is, what do you understand by the term bleak? And let me tell you, it is there, it is here, bleak. So control F, let's type bleak. Yes, I got it. This is the bleak word. It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. So you can understand the meaning here. Promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. So bleak here refers to something like bleak world, not encouraging, which you say, Proper says empty, Tanvi says lacking, uncolored. Okay. So, of course, bleak means what? It's a dark world for this. Okay, bleak world means is something which is faded. The world is not colorful for him. Okay, because he is very poor, right? Every corner of his bleak world, because everywhere, like an elementary classroom, you might have gone through. No? So the world of the slum children is also a bleak world, like having no hope of ray of hope, right? So for Sahib also there is no ray of hope for a school to come up in his village. So bleak means here hopeless, or you can say bleak is something which is dull, colorless world. Okay, colorless world is metaphorically used. Of course, bleak world means The world where there is no hope or promise for him. So let's go back to the question. Select the option that lists reasons why Sahib's world has been called bleak. The absence of parental presence, the poor socio-economic conditions, his inability to address problems, his lack of life skills, the denied opportunities of schooling. Yes. What about your point of view? Let me see. Yes. Which two out of these five options do you think can be considered to be the probable reason for which Sahib's world has been referred to as bleak? The absence of parental presence. Let me see what you've written. Vishu says B, 35B. Let us analyze Vishu. See, parents have got nothing to do here. Just leave it. Okay. Then his inability to address problem is quite irrelevant in the context of the bleak world. His lack of life skills has got nothing to do with the establishment of a school or improvement of the socio-economic condition. So we are left with the option 2 and 5 to be the probable answer for this bleak world. Okay. So you are absolutely right when you selected the option 2 and 5. So dear students, this is how first analyze and then rule out the options which are not feasible in this answer or which are not probable in this answer in the context of the question, and then go for the remaining options, of course, are the probable answers. So dear students, this is how you've got to select, right? This is how you've got to select the correct answer, okay, probable answers for the MCQ type questions. So next day, that is tomorrow, we are going to study the remaining questions. Both another extract questions will study, and then we will also study the standalone MCQ questions, right? So dear students, I am going to provide some more MCQ pattern from writing skill as well as reading skill, because these are the two sections in your question paper which contain the maximum marks, right? Literature, of course, contain maximum marks than reading section. But as writing section is very much unfamiliar to you, the questions asked in the writing section, therefore I shall provide you more and more questions from writing sections and as well as from reading sections, and of course from every section I will provide, but I shall give first of all I shall concentrate now for the next few days with the writing section literature, writing section MCQ type, right? And literature questions, after we finish up the sample paper questions, we shall go ahead with some more sample papers, okay, that I am trying to manage on my own, and I shall make some more questions on my own also to be able to so that we can practice live in our class, okay. So dear students, thank you so much. I think it's time for us to wind up our class. Thank you so very much. I was a bit late today because I had to attend a meeting. That is why. So anyway, dear students, I shall again continue my exercise of this literature MCQ type questions tomorrow, right? And might be later next week, later this week, I shall practice some questions from writing skills before we finally move on to the reading skill. Okay. So dear students, thank you so much. We shall meet tomorrow, and you do not practice on your own. Okay, we shall practice in the live class. Sample paper, whatever CBSE has given, that we will practice in the live class itself. Only the reading skill you shall practice at home, because it's not possible to practice in live class. In case there is any query, that I will address from the reading skill in the live class. Otherwise, live class we shall practice the sample papers, all the sample papers, and in addition to whatever I also make sometimes. So thank you, dear students. Bye bye. Take care, and we shall meet